It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis, Aunt Pruitt, Stacey Higginbotham. The whole gang is here and lots to talk about, including Twitter's plans to change its entire business model. We'll talk about how the social media and the internet could really be a lot better if we broke down the silos. We'll also talk about the sale of TikTok. It's on hold indefinitely. And then some of the weird new trends on TikTok. And finally, making your own COVID vaccine for fun, but not profit. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 598, recorded Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. I'm not a cat. This Week in Google is brought to you by Uber for Business. Right now, for a limited time, you'll get a $50 voucher when you create your first vouchers campaign and spend $200. Go to uber.com/twig to learn more. And by ITProTV. Get a new career in IT with the best IT education around. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Use the code TWIT30 at checkout. It's time for Twig, the show we cover the latest from the Googleverse, the Facebookverse, the internet. Aunt Pruitt is here, our hands-on photography host. Hello, Mr. Pruitt.
Hello, Mr. Laporte.
I see you every morning.
Ms. Higginbotham and Mr. Jarvis.
Yes, I see you every morning on Wednesdays.
Hello, Mr. Ant.
As you're doing Floss Weekly. Next week, by the way, a legend, if he shows up.
Yeah, we're hoping for him. ESR,
Eric Raymond will be joining the gang on Floss Weekly next Wednesday. That is worth tuning in for, along with, I would say, along with, well, but I think he stands alone. He's a guy who wrote The Cathedral and the Bazaar. He is very important to the open source community and an interesting fella, a character.
I was going to say quite a character from what I've been told.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Thank you for being here. Also, that was, of course, Mr. Jeff Jarvis, the Townite director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark. Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Buzzmachine.com. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Jeff's been watching TV all day. That's why he looks a little sallow.
That and my lighting is always off. So.
And fresh as a daisy from the beautiful island, it's Stacey Higginbotham of StaceyOnIoT.com. Hello. Hello, hello.
We were watching commercials before the show.
Yeah, we were watching Superbowl commercials.
If you want to start with something fun,
yeah,
Norway answers Will Ferrell.
Yeah. We showed the Will Ferrell GM ad where GM is saying, by the way, GM, we should point out, had the first EV, the way back when. That's right. That was they made the documentary about it and all that. Was the EV1, right?
I do not remember that. Really?
Who Killed the Electric Car was the, you should watch it, was the documentary. So GM has decided to come back, of all things, to electric vehicles. They announced that at CES, and they announced it to the world with the help of Will Ferrell, Aquafina, and Kenan Thompson, attacking Norway because they lead the world in electric vehicles. So Audi of Norway struck back.
There's 3 commercials. Oh.
America is coming for us. Norway is the best country in the universe.
So this is the big red-headed giant who is in Game of Thrones from Beyond the Wall. I've seen him in many other things, too. I don't know his name. He's great.
How can you hate this? How can you hate us? Me.
And remember, in the Will Ferrell Super Bowl commercial, he punched a globe and was wearing it through most of the commercial. There it is. The punched globe.
You want to punch us in the face? You want to do this to us? To me? To the world?
Don't hate, imitate.
We're trying to save the world. Save it.
I love him.
I like
And
that.
there's two.
Now,
you go to my
what
line,
is
there's
ironic-
three more.
Yeah, we don't need to
Okay,
watch
but
all
what
of
is ironic here is that Audi is part of Volkswagen, right?
them. Yeah, it's VW Group.
And Volkswagen had the huge line
Dieselgate.
scandal.
So they didn't save
Yeah.
the world. Now they're saving it.
No, but that's exactly why they're doing this, by the way, is because their settlement in Dieselgate, by the way, it also involved $1 billion to put electric charging
some
stations
charges
all
up,
over
right?
the country with Electrify America, which is
Right.
is-
Now,
is
but
VW.
Norway had a lot of policies. They actually
they required
dictated
it.
that new cars,
Yes.
you had to, okay.
Which is something for a country that makes a huge amount of money off oil.
That's actually a good
Yes.
point. I
It was a
forgot their big
moral
oil
decision.
power. Right.
Stats
Oh, yeah.
State oil.
Yeah.
Statoil.
I think that didn't
And
they say by
honestly,
20,
which would benefit from climate change because it'd be warmer there.
they said that that's true. It would actually be good for Norway. So really, they're acting against their own self-interest, aren't they? Unless
They're
the
acting
sea
in
level
ethical
rise
behavior. It's
swamps
hard to
them. And,
imagine.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. All those fjords.
All those fjords gonna get
Become lakes.
flooded
Norway-
fjords.
The Norwegian Parliament said that by 2025, in 4 years, all cars sold in Norway had to be zero emission, either electric or hydrogen. So good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. GM maybe, I don't know.
So there was a really good thread on GM and the concept of predatory delay, which is basically, look, the tide has turned towards electric vehicles. I was really excited when Biden
Against-
actually electrified.
against them?
No, for them.
For them, yes.
For electric
Yes.
vehicles.
Yes.
And now it is time to, you better get on now or you're going to be like a laggard. And so that's it was a really good thread about
Who's the
this.
predator
And-
in that? Who's the predator facing in
GM,
that?
basically putting out as much of the ginormous trucks and gas guzzling vehicles for as long as they could,
As
and
long
they
as they could, I
recognized
see.
at this point they've got to
Enough.
flip.
They created the EV1 in 1990. They sold 1,117 units between 96 and 99.
Well, they didn't really sell them, right?
Yes, that's right. But remember,
couldn't just,
then
like,
there was
those
an
were
issue
program
because there
cars.
weren't all those places you could charge them. I mean, Elon Musk was quite clever in his plan to make electric vehicles sustainable and sensible. By first of all, he said you got to have the charging stations, so he did the supercharging network as part of the whole rollout. So I think that GM though is also widely considered to be both create the first electric vehicle and also be kind of the sort they leased it with the option to purchase disallowed by the contractual clause.
Right.
You couldn't buy it.
They were dragged out of people's dead hands
People didn't want to give them up.
because they loved them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the first year they only released 288 cars. So I think it was more a PR stunt than anything else.
How long between that and the Volt? When did the Volt come out?
Yeah, because that's GM also, isn't it? The Chevy Volt.
Yes.
We saw the Chevy Volt at South by Southwest 6 years ago, 7 years ago. How long ago was that we went down there, John? You remember? Yeah. 2011. So 9 years ago.
What's South by Southwest?
Who wants to tell him?
I tease.
Oh, okay.
That was an
I
event
was
that
like,
I was
what
never really
is
interested in.
happening?
Well, son.
Now we
I
also
was never
mentioned
interested in that event. I never was.
And you might also ask, what's a conference?
I never
that I
went
actually
until
miss.
Robert Scoble told me there really is no point for South by. It's just a big party. And then I went, oh, I'll go.
Yeah.
That sounds. Now I want to go.
Crowd surfed and
Yeah.
everything.
Crowd surfed. I was at the party. So
I remember that. I saw that.
Reddit had the most oddball ad. There were, the usual weird ads, but Reddit's ad was the strangest because it was a 5-second still followed by a Reddit test pattern And their theory was you would pause and read the still because it went by so fast. And if you did, you would see this. Wow, this actually worked. If you're reading this, it means our bet paid off. Big game spots are expensive. They were very expensive this year. I think $5 million for a 30-second. Still expensive if you only buy 5 seconds. It's still almost $1 million. One thing we learned from our communities last week, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, is that underdogs can accomplish just about anything when they come together around a common idea, like shorting GameStop. So, I don't know. Do you think that worked? It was certainly clever. I doubt they saved much money.
It got talked about, which is the whole point.
That's the thing.
We're talking about it.
If you did that on the VCR, you'd have to adjust. What was it called? You had to adjust to get the lines out of the VCR? I'm forgetting that.
Vertical hold. Vertical hold.
No, it was another thing you had to do.
Tracking. Oh, the VCR was tracking. Yeah.
Tracking.
Tracking. Yeah, you had to adjust the tracking. Otherwise, there'd be a line through it.
So Reddit is
the old days.
doing okay. Their value. They just raised another round of funding. Their value to
$250 million.
Yeah, a lot of money. I can't. It's like, what's their current valuation?
$6 billion.
$6 billion.
Steve Newhouse bought that for what did he buy it for?
A song. I bet less than they paid for their Super Bowl commercial. I'm gonna guess.
But that's something they can write off too, so it's no worries.
$20 million.
No biggie.
Oh, he paid $20 million. Okay, so you could have bought
yeah.
3-4 Super Bowl commercials for that.
Just as I was leaving the company, he bought it. We talked about this on the show before. He wanted Digg,
Right.
but it was a consolation prize.
Kevin. Okay, what am I saying? Kevin Rose is doing just fine.
What's he doing?
Fine. He's a VC. He actually, I think we mentioned this on the show. Maybe you weren't here that week. He tweeted that he would buy Digg back from its owners because he didn't like what they were doing with it. He said, "I'll pay you the same you paid for it. You could get your money back." I don't know if anybody took him up on that. But I think he's probably looking at how successful Reddit is. Because Reddit was, even Alexis Ohanian and Steve Huffman, the creators, admitted a copy of Digg.
Oh, it was, and it also ran at that, yeah.
Yeah. Digg was the big guy. Reddit was like this, and then look, how the worm has turned.
Digg had its celebrity as well.
Who was the celebrity of Digg? Just Digg itself.
Kevin and Alex.
Yeah, Kevin and Alex. Oh,
the two guys.
Digg Nation. Yeah,
you are.
I was about to say Digg Nation. They had a TV show.
Podcast, we call it.
Podcast.
Alex Albrecht. Yeah, Alex was on G4 TV, and along with Kevin for the Attack of the Show, and then they created a podcast. So you're right; it was sort of like a TV show. Mostly involved heavy consumption. Say again?
It used to be owned by an organization downtown here in New York, but it's now owned by Buy Sell Ads. Ooh.
Yeah. There you go.
Ooh.
There you go.
Yucky. No wonder he wants it.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing. I think it's but that was probably the problem. Here's Kevin's tweet from January 8th. It's a shame what happened to Digg. The site is counting clicks as votes. Very odd. I'd like to buy it and return it to the old version 2 before the redesign. I'll offer you $1 million, which is 4 times the purchase price.
Oh.
So apparently Kevin's doing okay. I think he was an early investor in Twitter, as I remember. So,
you think?
Hey, speaking of Twitter, what the hell? What's going on with the Twitter? So Jack Dorsey.
Lots of exciting stuff.
Do you think? I think it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sensible or if he will even do it. This was part of Twitter's quarterly results analyst call, right? Or something like that.
Yep.
Okay. So Dorsey,
the second $1 billion quarter.
They had a good quarter.
Things are going well.
Yeah.
Yep. Though they warned that they've had a plateau, so growth won't be as high as it was, given Trump and COVID and everything else.
Yeah. This is the first earnings call
quarter
after the Trump ban, and they did all right. They didn't meet the growth expectations Wall Street had, but I doubt they ever do. It's always been a problem.
The stock went up anyway.
Yeah. They are going to add head count more than 20% this year. Overall expenses increasing 25%. This is MDAOs is the The new number. We used to call DAUs, DAUs, daily active users, and there was MAUs, monthly active users. But MDAUs are monetizable daily active users. What does that mean? If they're not bots?
Oh, I see. Are they? Because didn't they, after they bought Review, aren't people thinking they're going to try to charge people for access to certain people's tweets?
Yes, but this number, which this is for current earnings.
So would that be like
that
Jeff
people who
is
see ads as opposed
monetizable,
to-
or is that people who pay for Jeff that's monetizable?
MDAOs, 192 million daily active users. That's below expectations. But the most important thing I think about this analyst call was what Jack Dorsey was talking about for the future of Twitter, including some interesting subscription revenue options. He's talked about paying for the algorithm. Jeff, you better explain that.
And an algorithm app store as well.
Yeah.
This is Bluesky. So that the posting layer becomes the commodity. You make money by adding value, by having the algorithm that finds the things you want, by recommendation. I don't know, maybe fact checking. I'm not sure what all. But
there'd be more
there's
than
a
one,
layer
right? Because it's a
atop
store,
that.
so you could say,
Exactly.
I'll have that, and that. It's a menu.
I'll have the Fox News view of the world, or I'll have the MSNBC view of the world, and I'll have it against not just Twitter, but one presumes some federated mishmash of various social platforms.
See, that's the thing
So
that
again,
really
that becomes
interested me.
commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the problem Twitter has. If they're going to make money with their MDAOs, they have to be the sole one and only source for all the tweets, a silo. But he's understood that that's really part of the problem with social media.
And it doesn't scale. I mean, it scales. He scaled. But it doesn't scale to the level that Wall Street expects or that he thinks is possible. There's more conversation to be had.
So Dorsey says decentralization could be the solution also to any Section 230 issues that might come from new laws.
Isn't
how
that
is
the
that?
point of Mastodon, though?
Yeah, that's
The whole
I think
decentralization?
yes. In fact,
Well, now you'd be a platform over both, I think, Ant.
No,
I'll
here's-
find you the best of Twitter and Mastodon.
yeah, here's how I interpret it. In fact, by the way, the creator of Mastodon, Eugen, is on the board of advisors talking to Dorsey about options. So clearly Dorsey understands. Mastodon is what we call a Fediverse. No, not feta cheese, Stacy. As delicious as that is. Although I like that so much, I've actually made it a part of our Fediverse at twit.social. But the idea is I run a server, you run a server, you. There's hundreds of servers out there. You join a server of your choice, maybe one that fits your worldview or your interests or just people you like. That's your local server. You can follow anybody because it's federated. That's what federated means. You can follow anybody on any of the other servers. And what Twitter is saying is, we'll set this up. There'll be a variety. And by the way, there's other things. There's things like Pixel Feed or Pixel Fed, which is an Instagram, pixelfed.social, based on the Fediverse. So it is identical to Instagram, but it's on the Fediverse, which is actually really kind of neat.
Interesting.
I can log into my PixelFed. I don't do Instagram anymore, as you know, but I do pixelfed.social. And that means I have two accounts, one on twit.social and one on pixelfed.social. I'm going to log in here somehow. Oh, here it is.
Looking.
And you can follow me on both. Oh, I got a two-factor on this. Wow, I really must have taken this seriously when I signed up.
Wow. Yay.
Jeez, I was afraid
Such
somebody
a good man.
choose my
Two-factor.
So
would find
I
your
think
three
what
photos.
Dorsey is imagining is that Twitter would be one among equals. But that's not even the value that Twitter adds to the game. What Twitter really adds to the game is this algorithm, this curation. So they want to be the view into the Fediverse.
Or they're even what's interesting to me too, Leo, is they're even the curator of the curators. That there's an algo store.
Because of the store, right.
And that maybe Twitter runs that.
Right.
And Twitter has entries into the algo store, is my presumption, that it would have certain views from the social world that Twitter offers you, but others could too. It's just like WordPress.
But
WordPress is a commoditized
Right.
and open source at the software layer. It's at the value add layer where money's made.
Yeah, but honestly, the beauty of the Fediverse is you can do that. I could do that with Twit Social or whatever, but you don't control anything. And I think that would be critical to the whole enterprise. And I worry that Jack is going to have a different vision of what Twitter's role is in this. If it really supports the Fediverse, I think this is great. So this is another. So I should show twit.social too. Actually,
He's got a bet that he can win at adding value.
Yeah, as a curator, okay.
Rather than at controlling, yes.
So this is twit.social. So it looks a lot like TweetDeck. By the way, that was another thing Dorsey floated. Maybe people will pay for TweetDeck. So this looks like a lot like TweetDeck. This is the home, which is the people I'm following, and my notifications. This is the local timeline, which is everything on our server. And then this is a federated timeline, which is, this is a little complicated. Everything that everybody on our server is following on all the other servers. Right now, Bloomberg's bot is spamming it with...
So it's like a graph, like a social graph kind of thing?
Yeah. That's a good way to put
graphs.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Friends of friends, that kind of thing. There is a fire hose you could watch of all the stuff on all the federated servers, but it's quite a fire hose. So this is...
A pretty picture of a flower.
Isn't that pretty? So people do this. But then let me show you PixelFed, which looks just like
Instagram.
Instagram.
News, actually.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. It's not that flower, but another flower. This is
another
what
purple flower.
This is.
See, they all look alike to me.
This is just like Instagram, right? But but it's also part of the Fediverse. So my handle on this can be followed on Mastodon as well as anywhere else. So I think that this is.
And then people see they see these pictures, but they see it in the format that looks more like Twitter.
They
but
could,
Mastodon?
yeah. It's okay. Format independent, which is the beauty of it. But if you look at this looks just like an Instagram feed, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, why has an Instagram sued?
Like
it looks that much
sued
like.
exactly.
Okay, fine. Don't sue them.
Can you wait? Can you? I don't think you can sue for a design. You can sue for a brand. You can sue for content treatment of content. A design, I don't think you can sue for.
I love it that this is.
That's how H&M operates, right?
This is an open source, federated Instagram. It doesn't have any of the issues that Instagram has because it's federated. Now I'm using the PixelFed server, but I could use twit.social as well. So yeah, this is one view. This is one view, and this is another view, but it's all. And the conversations are very Twitter-like. Actually, you have 500 characters, which makes it a little better than Twitter, I think.
So you can really be wordy.
Jeff, you can sue for design under, I think, copyright and maybe some other things, but it's really, courts hate it and they tend to block them. So you can sue. It's just difficult
you
to
can.
get
Samsung, Apple sued Samsung over the look and feel.
It's a big deal in the fashion industry.
Yeah. Look and feel is a little nebulous, though. That's why courts don't like it. But a jury can rule. They can say, no, that's clearly a copy of the look and feel.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I think I hope that he's not just blowing smoke on this. I think this would be a
well,
really...
I think he does that too, but
yeah.
No, I think he's invested in this. He keeps coming back to it. I think he has a vision in his head of what this world could look like, and I think it's a way to. I mean, I was thinking about today, Leo, with the rundown. I wonder whether is there a world where Jack could suddenly leap over Mark?
That's interesting.
So by doing
terms
something
of
like this would be
how
a way
would
to
you
propel his
because he's
what you're saying?
No, because what he sees is that he wants to connect to much more conversation, but find the good in that conversation. So Facebook is this closed universe, and what Jack, I think, sees is back to internet roots, the value of being open, and you can scale much bigger, much faster. And he needs the formula to do that and thinks this might be a formula. And then I think that Facebook gets left in the dust because it won't be federated, it won't be curated, it won't be seen. But your stuff on Instagram and Fakeagram and Twitter and Mastodon and everywhere else will be seen through Uncle Jack.
Wouldn't it be interesting?
Okay, devil's advocate with all of that openness and this just big expansion of everything coming out of the silos. Does that equate to even more misinformation out there?
I'm glad you asked. No, this is the beginning. Yes, and it's raw level, sure. The phone book has a lot of people in it you don't want to call. But I go back. I'm sorry about to do this to you. I'm sorry, but get your glasses ready, folks. If we go back to Gutenberg, what happened was that, yeah, anybody could print anything. And we had no institutions built around finding quality. It took about a century to come up with the institutions of the editor and the publisher and the critic and these ways that we found quality in this tremendous abundance that had not existed before. The library, the librarian. These were all institutions of quality that were needed to be created. Well, so now those institutions aren't up to the task of a conversational world. So we need to create new institutions, new features, new companies, new functions, new stuff to help us with that task. So yes, Ant, there'll be a lot more crap, but you'll have easier ways of ignoring it and people who will take you to the stuff that you want. Now, if you're smart, you won't just want the echo chamber. You'll want some view of the world. You'll want to see what's going on. You'll have brands that will emerge, like newspapers did, that will help you find the good stuff among all of the stuff, some of which is bad, but we should ignore the bad stuff. There's bad books on every bookshelf. So what? We don't care because I don't read them. I don't need them.
You could almost say that the silos are part of the, and I think this is what Jack is saying, the silos are part of the problem right now. So there's a pool of stuff on Twitter, there's a pool of stuff on Facebook, there's a pool of stuff on YouTube. You go to those places to see that pool of stuff, but what if you took away the walls and you had a much larger pool of stuff, and then the value that was added was not added by creating the silo, but was added on the top by filtering and finding the stuff that was best quality or most interesting.
The quality layer on top.
So it's just a different place to add the value to the equation.
Bingo.
And I think Dorsey's smart. And by the way, the answer to your question, Jeff, is Facebook becomes, instead of it leapfrogging over Facebook is another, if they're smart, becomes another part of this.
Or they close themselves off from it.
Well, they could.
Facebook says, no, Jack, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then Facebook diminishes.
I think they would do that at their detriment, right? So I think
but they may well do that.
They may. And I think what Jack's plan is, if we do this and we invite everybody to participate, that is of its own going to snowball. The network effect is all in our favor.
It's a new generation.
It's a new generation.
Ant, you were saying Ant?
Well, I was going to say, but can't one argue that there's still a bit of openness because a lot of these posts are shared across multiple platforms because of just being on the internet. You can post something on Instagram and send that URL to Facebook and it can be viewed there and commented on, and people can talk trash about it and say all kinds of things and stir things up, and then they can take that same URL and put it on Twitter and do the same thing, and they do it for TikTok, and so it's not.
Or another, yes, you're right. Or another way is Facebook can say, we're going to give you the Facebook algo across Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Mastodon and so on. So that stuff can be wherever it is originated, but we can create something that goes across all of those. It doesn't matter where it originates. So it commodifies the origination and values the curation.
So, Ant, you're stepping into the middle of a conversation that's been going on in this show for a decade or more. And Jeff will remember when Kevin Marks, in fact, we should get him back on at some point, used to make regular visits and promote the indie web. This is the indie web is the same idea from the other, from a more open standard, which, in fact, this is the indie web homepage. The indie web is a people-focused alternative to the corporate web. The idea is your blog is part of the indie web. That's where you put your content, but there are mechanisms provided by indie web developers, things like webhooks and PubSub, that allow your blog to be part of a larger conglomerate and allows people to, say, use Twitter and say, oh, and by the way, include Ant's content because I like what Ant's doing. And Twitter, find me 5. And by the way, this would be one of the valuable things Twitter could do. Oh, you like Ant? Find me 5 more things like that. And if Twitter did a good job of content curation, they could say, oh, I see you like that. What about this? I think
Ant himself could say, here is my here's what I like every day. You can see what I see.
So this is IndieWeb has been promoting this for a long time, and Kevin Marks used to come on all the time and talk about the Homebrew Website Club and the various meetings. And if you're interested, indieweb.org. I hope these guys get pulled into the conversation because they've been working on these technologies, like microblog, for instance, for a long time, and they've thought about these. And I think that they have some really good ideas about where this is going. Unfortunately, it's become a little bit of a backwater compared to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. It would be really, I hope Jack is not just blowing smoke. The problem is he's a public company, and some stakeholders might see this as reducing the value of their stock.
Well, knowing Jack, he'll just start a third company.
Well, that's what Ev did, right?
Yeah.
So Ev Williams moved on from Twitter and created Medium. I could, this is, by the way, Bluesky is the name, as you said. It is Bluesky Research, but it's actually the name of this thing that they've been working on for the last few years. He hired.
Do you know the people who were on his Bluesky team? Do you guys know?
Well, I know
Are they
the
known
Mastodon guy for sure. But he's so there's two different groups. There's the actual Bluesky developers, and I think, let me see here in this story if they said the number. I think there are 10 people, I think, working on it, and then there's 50 more people on a advisory board who are helping them understand. Because the thing is, there's a lot, and I
can give you Gutenberg stuff for the advisory board. I'll do that.
There are a lot of people have been thinking long and hard about this, including Kevin Marks. I just,
We'll see.
And, it may be, the irony of this may be that the attacks on Section 230 actually force this along. That's one of the things Jack's trying to address here is a situation where suddenly you're liable for your content. He doesn't want to be in that position.
So in this case, you're not the host.
Yeah.
You're just the recommender.
Yeah.
Facilitator.
But you'll be found liable for that.
In the call on Thursday, Dorsey said this could be a way to, quote, address some of the problems that is facing Section 230. It could collapse how we communicate on the internet. Actually, he said stripping back 230 could collapse how we communicate on the internet and leave only a small number of giant and well-funded tech firms. That regulatory capture you talk about, Jeff. But this would be the reverse. It would, let a million flowers bloom. And
it's also Jonathan Zittrain from the Berkman Center has been arguing this to Facebook. I've sat in meetings in Davos where he tried to tell them that they should offer a slider, and they should say, pick your algorithm. He's been saying this to them for years.
And App Store is a really interesting way to approach
one,
this. Yeah.
Or give me the far right one. And if I pick a far right one and I get crap, that's my choice.
It's your choice. You could do that now in the Fediverse. For instance, Gab moved to Mastodon some time ago, and the Gab server is on the Fediverse. I choose on my instance to block it. Maybe I shouldn't. It doesn't.
You probably should.
Because once you start letting crazy into your house, you start. They look less crazy. Familiarity breeds not just contempt, but also just familiarity. And you're like, well, that's not so weird.
Right.
Tolerance, yeah.
And it's an interesting conundrum. If you want to follow Gab, you still could do it. You just can't do it on my server, my instance. So you could join some other instance that Gab allows. You could even join the Gab instance.
And then what would you see if I join this
You'd
other server?
You'd still only see stuff you follow.
Right, but I could follow you still, even though you're not on your server. Or sorry, I'm not on your server. I could still follow you.
So
okay.
it's not commutative. So if you're on the Gab server, unless they're blocking me, Twit Social, you could follow me. But if you're on my server, you can't follow Gab because I have unilaterally blocked it. But you could follow everybody. That's the only server I block. So you can follow everybody else. There are sex worker servers. There are, I'm sure, other Nazi servers. There are all kinds of servers. If you're interested, join Mastodon. I think it's .org. Has a directory of servers. Join Mastodon.org, so you could see what are out there. And you can actually, they have a little thing, I think. Is it on Join Mastodon? Maybe not. But there is somewhere a site where you could say, I like this, I don't want to see that, I don't want to see that. And you check those boxes and then it makes some suggestions. This is it.
That kind of gets to where, but it's not really where Ant's going. Ant's saying that there's more value needed to avoid the crap. And you start down that route here, but it's a very rudimentary layer, right?
Well, just like Twitter, you don't have, if you only see what you follow.
Right.
Although you might be inclined once in a while to open up the sluices and see what else is out there as a discovery.
Yeah, that you might be missing.
Thing. And then, but if you, then you go, ooh, that's awful, and you can close them up.
There's a lot of content that I don't subscribe to or follow, but yet it always ended up popping into my feed.
That's the algorithm, man. And that's the thing I'm always inveighing against, is that Facebook intrudes into your feed by putting stuff.
Not on my lists, it doesn't.
Well, and so that's what people are doing. Is lists.
That's what lists
are great
for me. I had to fix up lists and put in a bunch of mutes and things like that to make my experience better. And I'm thinking that making this a much larger highway is just going to make me work even harder to try to filter out things like that. Even though I get I should be able to have sources and access to all the views of the world, you know, just because I don't need to be closed-minded. But at the same time, some crap I just don't want to see.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I think you're better off in a Fediverse because it's open. So you can choose a server that's, and one hopes that somebody would do this, that says, Ant, you have absolute control over what you see. And you will only see things you choose to see. I think that's kind of how it is. But you could have somebody who's even more, aggressive about that. That's, to me, what's wrong with YouTube and Facebook. Less so Twitter. But Twitter, because of retweets, stuff gets into your feed that you didn't necessarily choose. I always see stuff in retweets. So I turn off retweets in TweetDeck, which is nice. That really cleans things up. But so algorithms get in the way. But you could be on there's nothing to say that you couldn't have software that shows you only stuff you explicitly say, I want to see. That kind of thing. And I think that's what Jack's proposing. In the App Store, you would have...
So I could buy variations on different recommendation softwares?
Exactly, yeah.
So I could buy... Now, would I buy like an algorithm, or would I buy like a list of people who've already been...
He calls them algorithms. He says you're buying algorithms.
So then I would find the benefit there is that if someone's talking about something that's algorithmically interesting to me, I would see their stuff, but maybe I wouldn't have to follow them?
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
The whole idea is there's a lot of ways you could do that. So the first thing to do is break down all those silos so that everything isn't a giant pool. Right. And then...
Oh, but as a content creator... Yeah, but as a content creator, like trying to participate in the algorithm, would I be tagging or doing anything, or would it just like look at the content?
Because
if it looks at the content...
You could have that.
Well, okay.
You could have all sorts of techniques.
Well, so that's what we would need to look at. Like, would it need, what is the burden on the content creator? It's also an opportunity, but then someone like as a content creator I could be like tagging stuff for the latest quote unquote hashtags, right? Even though it doesn't have a lot of relevance there, just because I know they're hot or trending right now. So I'm thinking about how I could game the system depending on how it's set up.
Yeah, that's always a possibility, is gaming, and that's what killed Digg.
Everything can be gamed. But there's another layer here too, Stacy, which is, I talked about it before, Samir Arora, formerly of Glam.com, has Sage for Experts. And he started with 100 experts that he knew were truly experts. And then he went out to their selections, he got to 1,000. And then the system took over and picked the rest, and it constantly checked against itself. So Stacy, you could start something like that. You could say, here are my IoT experts. If you really want to follow IoT, you don't need the algorithm, you need the incoming data, right? And you could say, here is Stacy's worldview. And Stacy can prime that pump, and Stacy can verify that it's good and keep making sure that you have a human check on it, that it's keeping going, and limit the size of it and have checks on it. But I can get Stacy's worldview of technology through. I could sell the algorithmic functionality, but you sell the input into it that gives me Stacy's worldview, which would be pretty cool.
I think the reason Jack mentions an app store, I'm going to put words in his mouth or ideas in his head, but I think the reason he mentions an app store is because that's what made the Apple App Store so powerful and rich, is you say, here's a pile of content, and now anybody who wants to can, on the App Store, sell a filter, a mechanism, a curation mechanism. And you can, by the way, if somebody starts gaming one, you just choose another one. So, you've got this giant universe of content, and presumably you could even roll your own. I mean, that's what I'd like to see, is some sort of simple API that lets people, well, it would have to be. And then some people wouldn't have the skills to roll their own, so they'd go to the App Store. But I might want to write my own parser or something that chooses what I get to see. I love this idea. Mm-hmm. I really love this idea. I hope he does it. I hope it's not just blue smoke. We shall see, though. I think he's smart because there is still a chance to monetize, maybe even a better chance to monetize with an app store, but it solves a lot of the problems of the silos. I never liked the silos. That was always a problem. You remember, in fact, really, I started getting involved with IndieWeb and Kevin Marks back with Bear Hug Camp. You remember that? In the early days of Twitter, and this goes back probably 2008 or 9, they had a feature called Track, where you could say, I just want to know when somebody talks about this subject, I just wanted to see it. I'll have a tracker. It was kind of like Google's alerts. And it was a really nice system, and Twitter took it out. And so I think it was Steve Gilmore. I can't remember who it was who created it. Somebody created.
Why did they take it out?
My guess is because they had plans for monetization, and or maybe it might have been it was part of the scaling issues that they were having at the time. This was in the days of the fail whale. They never put it back. It never came back. But it was a feature a lot of us used. It was and this is kind of what I imagine with even a larger universe of data we would use. So as soon as if anybody says anything about, for Jeff, impeachment, I want to see it. And you would get all of this stuff. It was a great way to use Twitter. So they created this Bear Hug Camp to kind of try to persuade Twitter to bring it back. But what ended up coming out of it was the IndieWeb movement. And this idea that, well, we'll have to make our own tools. So getting rid of silos and getting rid of centralized controls, I think, is a really great way to solve this problem. And then it kind of was, honestly, we were getting there anyway with blogging, and the attention. What was
RSS?
RSS, and then what was the thing where if somebody would tweet a response to your blog, was show
a trackback.
Trackback.
Right?
Yep.
What was the company called?
It was in moving type.
Disquist was there.
Movable type.
No, it was another one. Discuss was that was the commenting one. There was one that just gave you your trackbacks and tracked them all.
Yeah. I think it was a feature of movable type in the early days.
Well, no, it was an original company, David Sifry.
Oh yeah, David Sifry. Yeah.
Was there.
Anyway, that was the idea, was that everybody... Technorati. This was brilliant.
Oh,
this was brilliant.
Memories.
So we had, in a way, we'd solved all of this. And what happened was the companies that wanted to monetize it built these silos. Even as they were building them, we were using this word, silos. This shouldn't be siloed. We want the open web.
So
That's why the open
Axios,
web movement.
On line 144, sorry about that, Axios, I think, prematurely starts to smell this trend and says that it goes off with what Jack's doing. It says also that Shopify, as growth has exploded as people move beyond Amazon, plus WordPress buying Parsley. I'm not exactly sure how that fits into this. The Washington Post doing its Zeus advertising platform for the open web on ads.
Well, and Twitter buying
Goose.
And Twitter buying the newsletter company, Review.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, newsletters are another way of expressing this.
And this is why I say, when everybody gets crazy about antitrust, the platforms, I think that they're going to grow too big and topple. I think that this kind of stuff, the web will be the web, the net will be the net, and I think it can rise again. And that's up to us to use these things. And to show that there's a possibility here and to show that there's market demand for them. But
it's funny, this article on Axios is by Scott Rosenberg, who has been around through all of this. So it's kind of nice to see that he's reminding people, hey, this was called the World Wide Web when it first started. This is what we were trying to do.
We've been here before.
Well, and it kind of got sidetracked by these companies like Facebook and Twitter.
Well, so it got sidetracked, but it was also easier. And that's something we have to think about, right? When you make things easy, you, by the nature of making it easy, establish defaults and
I think you can make it easy. I don't think I don't think ease of use is going to be an issue here.
No,
the
but I think
technology
Stacey's
is just
exactly
to make
right
it
about
easy.
something else, Leo.
But what happened was more, easy in the sense of, well, there's one, you go to Facebook. But it could be that easy. But I think that trying to monetize it was the thing that went wrong, to be honest.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think Stacey's right, too. If you go down that track, you go to Ronald Coase, who was the theoretician about the beginnings of the firm, and he talks about the transactional cost, the cost of transactions, right? Things became cheaper and easier to get into a large firm, and then they get cheaper and easier in networks. And the costs have changed. The cost of doing what Ant was talking about earlier, getting rid of the crap, has gotten very high.
Yeah.
It's gotten high in having to hire 30,000 people, but it's also gotten very high in the regulatory danger and risk to the company and its profits and everything else. So the transactional cost that Stacey was mentioning, I think, is exactly a factor that it was easier and it was cheaper to go into the big companies. Now it's expensive to be a big company and expensive to try to do all this yourself.
Yeah. It's no surprise Technorati is now owned by Synacor.
Well, who's Synacor?
Big cloud company.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, huh, what? Why is that not a surprise?
Never
Who are
heard of
they?
them.
Big cloud company.
The Borg.
Yeah, they're the Borg. The Borg is a really... So the Borg is the good and the bad. Open Web is Borg-like, one of us. Mm-hmm. But we don't give up control. There's no centralized control, which I think is really where all of this starts, is centralized control.
Technorati. So, yeah, it exists, yeah.
It's still around, yeah.
Because Technorati was so great, because what were the features included? So I could see who all linked to me.
Right.
Right? I could see who all linked to you.
Via trackbacks, yeah.
So I got a sense of your graph.
Yeah.
Right?
It was kind of a distributed way of trying to do this, and I think the technology is advanced enough that we could probably do a pretty good job of this. Now, I hope this happens. Anyway, I have to take a break because the show's almost over.
It was just too exciting. You just got to take a break.
I love it when we get in these great conversations because this really is important stuff. It's kind of nebulous and hard to understand, but I think we've kind of clarified it, and I'm very interested to see if this is what Jack honestly wants to do.
Gives you a little hope, perhaps.
It gives me a lot of hope.
Just hope.
Gives me a lot of hope. Our show today brought to you by Uber for Business. You all know Uber, I know, but wouldn't it be nice if you're an employer, a boss, or you've got customers, wouldn't it be nice if you could spiff people a little bit? Let's say you're having a meeting and you would like everybody to attend, and you just say, hey, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee, or let's have lunch together, I'll buy. How would you do that in today's socially distanced world? Uber for Business. It lets you create vouchers. Vouchers for rides, vouchers for free meals, vouchers for a cup of coffee. 160,000 companies use. I didn't even know about it. And then now I know there's 160,000 companies using it. Uber for Business to improve customer and employee satisfaction. It's hard to find in these tough times simple and effective ways to keep your employees engaged, your customers happy. If you're trying to find a way to stand out to your customers or make your employees feel extra valued, Uber for Business is exactly what you need. You can use vouchers from Uber for Business. Add $20 to their Uber account so they can order meals through Uber Eats before the meeting, or offer them a voucher for a free ride when they make their first purchase or spend a certain amount. Really, the sky's the limit. Any company can sign up to use Uber for Business free and immediately start delivering extra value to the people who matter most to your business. The vouchers are simple to send. They're easy to redeem. You get total control over who gets them. You could set an expiration date. You could say how much of the ride or meal you want to cover. You could have a hard dollar amount. Vouchers are shared via email or text, can be redeemed with a single tap. And here's the best part. You don't even pay until they take that ride or order that meal. So it costs you nothing. Send out those vouchers. And when when somebody cashes in, you pay for it. It's so cool. In fact, right now, we've got a great deal for you. For a limited time, receive a $50 voucher when you create your first vouchers campaign and spend $200 or more. Go to uber.com/twig to learn more. uber.com/twig. I predict soon, as when you do business with a company or you were invited to a meeting, you're going to get a little voucher in the mail or via text, and you're going to say, oh, that's cool. They're buying me lunch. uber.com/twig. It's a great way to spiff customers, colleagues, and clients. affordable, easy to use, uber.com/twig. Some terms and conditions apply for that $50 voucher. But start by creating your first campaign. Uber.com/twig. Thank you, Uber, for supporting This Week in Google. And if you decide to use it, make sure you use that URL so you let them know you saw it here. So Parsley, which is, by the way, a great name, is a content analytics company. WordPress VIP, which is the enterprise arm of WordPress.com, is buying. Content analytics, not number analytics. This is the first large enterprise software acquisition for Automatic. Do you know what Parsley does? Anybody? Is this?
Oh, sure.
You're familiar with them.
No, it's used. It's one of the two large companies that are used by media companies to analyze all their traffic. What story was big?
Okay.
What source is big? All that.
So the media companies that use WordPress VIP, Parsley, then they would be getting part of the deal. Would be with Parsley. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. In the long term, they're saying Automatic hopes to bring deeper commerce insights to Parsley to help WP VIP clients better optimize for commerce. Content management.
Oh, man, everything is turning from content into sales. It's bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what MailChimp has done.
What is MailChimp doing in that regard?
Oh, the last year they've been really focusing very hard on the CRM and the sales as opposed to like the content of a newsletter, if that makes sense.
And that's what you use, right? MailChimp? Right.
But I'm looking for a new platform that focuses less on, because I'm paying for so much stuff I don't need.
Right.
But and this is kind of this, as a journalist, it is frustrating because your platforms, you want a platform that focuses on content, but because we don't generate a lot of revenue, those companies need to find ways to emphasize selling to people, because that way they can get a cut of the funds coming in. So you see,
why not
WordPress,
do Substack or Review or Medium or something like that for your
Substack's
newsletter?
Business model doesn't work with mine, so that's why.
Because you're giving yours away. You don't charge.
Because I have paid sponsorships.
Right. You make your money in ads, not in selling the newsletter.
Right.
Substack's
Substack will
about
let me give my
subscribing.
stuff away, but it won't let me sell ads.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to.
Is that it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does Medium allow that? I didn't think Medium.
No.
I talked to Medium about starting a publication, and it just didn't. None of these make sense for me, but they might.
As an independent B2B person, no.
You know who we've been talking to, and Ben Thompson uses these guys. It's the Patreon people. Memberful. Have you looked at Memberful?
No.
But that's actually.
Jack.
It works with MailChimp, but the idea is but again, it's subscribers. You want to do ad support.
Yeah, I want to do. I just need a newsletter that is. I mean, and MailChimp's gotten real dodgy. You know how you're not supposed to write in the CMS. Well, every week I discover why with MailChimp. I don't write in the CMS anymore. It does weird things. I mean, like you're like, I think I saved this. And then it's like, you think you saved it, but actually I logged you out, and I did not tell you that you're logged out. And all of this stuff you're writing doesn't count.
Wow. Don't write
it does that
in the
consistent.
CMS. You should know that.
That's painful.
I learned that especially with MailChimp. But it still takes time to like drop stuff in, and you still end up tweaking stuff, and then you're like, grr.
See, I write in the Medium CMS because it's such a beautiful CMS.
That's what Medium's selling point was for a while. Was you'll love using Medium. They knew people wrote in the CMS.
I signed up for MailChimp because I thought about doing a newsletter because there's a lot of people that reach out to me that aren't on social media, and I figured it'd be a nice way to do it. But I don't know. Sometimes it seems like, dang, that's a lot.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
The commitment. It's hard. You're right. I used to blog every day.
I try to put something on my
a day.
blog at least once a week. I try. I've been.
I don't even do that anymore
in December, but
I never thought
to
I'd
put at least something up once a week.
Stacey, you're a writer though. This is your medium.
I actually hate writing.
Oh, never mind.
I am a reporter.
Okay,
I'm like,
forget I said
writing
anything.
is just the thing I have to do because
you have to communicate what your research says somehow. That's why I talk. It's a lot easier than writing.
I like writing.
You like writing?
I like writing.
Huh.
It's a lot of people do.
Well, I do.
It's right up there with sitting in the edit bay editing photos of video. It's therapeutic for me.
Yeah. It's your detail oriented.
There's a chainsaw going on behind me.
I don't hear it. It's okay. I heard kind of it's not as bad as Mary Jo Foley on Windows Weekly this morning. She was getting her bricks repointed.
Wait, what is that a process doing? Bricks repoint? Help.
You take out
They're remortaring the bricks, but they call it pointing the bricks.
Okay.
And
I was
heat all day. It just turned on.
She lives in a 100-year-old New York brickwork building, and they have to renew the pointing. The pointing's the mortar joints. So the way they do it is here's some German masons repointing a wall in 1948. They scrape out, thank you, Wikipedia. They scrape out the mortar. Actually, nowadays they do it with a drill, and then they remortar it. So, why did I say that? Oh, because that was a lot noisier than what I don't hear anything from you, so you're okay. We put up with Mary Jo's. I actually just put some bar sounds behind it. And it was just...
Glasses tinkling.
Yeah.
Conversations.
Yeah, we just pretended we were at a...
Oh, I miss bar sounds.
Yeah, we pretended we were at a bar doing the show. I'm thinking Jeff Jarvis wrote this. Stupidity is contagious.
Gee, my fingerprint was all over that.
So apparently, it's gone so well for the Australian government to demand Google and Facebook pay for news articles that now the EU wants to do it. And Canada. What is the lesson they're not learning here?
Who's they in this case? The governments or the platforms?
The government, EU. So the EU, and of course, it's behind a paywall because I read the financial. I try to read the Financial Times too often. Jeff's explained this to me.
Yeah, it knocks you off.
It knocks me off. I can never read anything on there. But apparently, this is according to the Financial Times. The EU wants to make do what Australia did to Google and ask them to pay for news articles.
So what's going to happen here is that the Europe's going to say, so maybe you can leave little tiny Australia. You can't leave Europe. We're too big.
Although it's the member of the European Parliament from Malta that's proposing it, and they could leave Malta. They could pretty much leave Malta and never know.
They can leave Malta with no sweat. But then I think what's happened is Google is also opening up, I think as part of the bribery scheme that publishers have been doing, it's Google Showcase. And Google would say, well, we leave the showcase. You don't want to be mean to us. So I think there's it's a game going on here. It's a ridiculous game. Ridiculous.
However, Google might have opened the door because a Google spokesperson told the Financial Times, people trust Google to help them find relevant and reliable information from a range of websites, and this helps publishers by sending them valuable traffic to their sites. Okay, fine. And then we're willing to pay to further support journalism, and we're doing that around the world. They kind of gave away the game there. We'll pay you.
Yep.
They're saying, we'll give you money. So maybe Google isn't fighting this as hard as we thought they were. There's a new term, by the way, for this
idea of charging for links. They have to fight that. They have to fight that.
Yeah.
So they'll end up paying publishers blackmail money, baksheesh, but they won't agree to they cannot agree to a standard of paying for the privilege of linking. That just kills the web.
And this is the new word for this: Google leaving Australia. They're calling it Gexit.
Gexit.
Gexit?
Now, I was going to debate,
Google.
is it Gexit or Gexit? But in this case, it's Gexit.
I think it's Gexit.
Gexit. Google
It's a
Gexit.
hard G.
Gexit.
Oh, mercy.
Gexit. Google.
Plus, on the rundown, the same spot, Leo, I think is important, is now suddenly you have businesses in Australia saying,
what are we going to do?
Whoa,
Yeah.
this could hurt us terribly.
Yeah. Economic death for Aussie jobs if Google pulls search. This is from Yahoo Finance Australia. News and a new analysis from IBIS World, Australia, the small and medium-sized businesses that rely heavily on Google's digital presence and the business's ability to be found through web search means that Google's search withdrawal from Australia could be devastating. Google's exit, or Gexit, would disrupt numerous Australian industries which are already in a weakened state due to the COVID-19 panic. Here's the industries that are most vulnerable to a Gexit. Gexit.
It is fun to say, isn't it? It's like a gecko leaves you.
Exit. Caravan parks, holiday houses, and other accommodation, restaurants, cafes and coffee shops, hairdressing, and beauty services. That makes sense. That's true. You know, if I want to, I don't go to the yellow pages if I want to find a plumber. I Google it.
All that's dead now.
Although maybe you go to Yelp instead. Is it good for Yelp? No.
Well, Yelp
No,
thinks
you know
so.
why?
Yelp-
Because
do you
you're
get-
doing it on your mobile phone, and Yelp always makes you go to their freaking app.
Yeah, I hate that.
They don't believe in the web
Exactly,
on the
Stacey.
phone.
I hate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You tell them.
I'm
Take
just
that.
as cranky as Jeff is about Yelp and their
Take
stupid app.
that.
Also, Reddit. Everybody who makes you go to an app when you're on your phone and not just let you live on
Pisses
the web.
off Stacey.
Apparently there's a way, and I learned this on Reddit.
Oh.
There's apparently a way to turn off that prompt to open the Reddit app. I'll have to go through my Reddit and find it.
That should be a tip of the
boy.
week.
It should be. All right, I'll tell you what. If I can find it before the end of the show, it'll be my tip of the week. How to get Reddit to stop bugging you.
Sweet.
Drives me bonkers.
Bonkers, man. I tell you, it's bonkers.
Before I forget, the other competitor to Parsley is Chartbeat.
Chartbeat. I know Chartbeat.
Oh, we used
You
to
know
use
Chartbeat, I know you
Chartbeat.
do Chartbeat.
We
Yeah.
used Chartbeat at GigaOM and then Parsley at somewhere else.
Oh. Yeah.
I was like, I know both of them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, dokie.
I have no idea who CBS Interactive used to use. No idea.
Oh, I thought
just
you were going
know
to say, I have no
hated
idea about
CBS.
using these things. I was like, that you were
I
not
just hated
charged
their
with like
CMS.
page view
Good
demands.
man. Good man. No, we don't care about page views.
See, that's how big media actually ruined the internet. Is the attention-based advertising economy is what ruined everything. It's
It
not
wasn't
advertising
just
itself.
media.
It's not
So
media
it wasn't
itself.
just media.
Right. I agree.
It was-
It's not them itself, but they created the market.
Because, I mean, Lord knows at GigaOM, we paid attention to page views, but we also did stories that didn't require great page views. But
From Nina's Cake Cabin comes our picture of the week.
that's my pick of the week
is
because it's
pretty good.
cake.
Okay, so what are we looking at? It looks like an Amazon Prime box, doesn't it? From Nina's Cake Cabin. Might be something else. Wait a minute. Let's cut into that Amazon Prime box. Oh, it's delicious chocolate cake with raspberry jam and lashings of buttercream.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Isn't that something?
Now, the question is that all fondant? Because if it is, the cake is nasty.
Yeah,
I don't like fondant, but I think it's just
But
a
if it's actual-
fondant cardboard box fondant that you can then peel off.
Well, because if you'd ice everything and then just use
Make
fondant for
fondant
like the
labels.
barcodes and
Yeah,
the
fondant labels. Yeah,
But
Yeah, that's a different story.
maybe it just doesn't look as good, I guess.
I'm not a
I mean,
fondant
I'm being
fan.
nitpicky. I would still.
No,
eat
I'm
the
with
heck
you.
out of
Every
it.
time I see something like this, I think the same thing. That's
Or
a lot of
you can
fondant.
Ship in fondant.
I think it's the cake breaker's son. I think she was promoting her
Yeah.
son and her cake. at
My
the same
post
time.
about my son's Amazon box cake. Nobody believed it,
She was showing
so
off.
she had to post it again with a little slice taken out of it. She's
It's
clearly a
Showing off-
professional.
You know what? Yeah, if I made that cake, I would show it off to. I would bring it on Twit.
Yeah.
You can see it next week.
I'd like to
Yeah.
show
See
you
it
my
on
Amazon
Instagram.
box cake.
I'd be like, look, y'all.
Now, I want to ask you this question: have you eaten corn ribs?
Corn ribs.
What?
What are corn ribs?
That's the newest TikTok sensation.
Oh God. By the way,
I don't have
77.
ribs.
we'll show some corn ribs, and then
Says the expert.
we tried the TikTok food trend, says USA Today. It's much more fun to eat corn on the cob this way. So apparently you peel the corn off the cob.
No, you cut it in quarters.
Oh, you cut the cob in
become
quarters.
ribs.
Oh, so it's ribs.
Oh. Okay,
Here-
that's silly.
Here's the video.
my goodness, these corn ribs need
aunt is just disgusted.
Unbelievable.
I don't know why, but it's way more satisfying to eat corn this way. First, we're gonna
It does look kind of
corn on
fun.
the cob. Some people say to hack at a knife with a rolling pin, but A, that didn't work, and B, it's just way too complicated. I found that if you stand it up straight and give it a
If you
firm
put it
push,
in an air fryer
now cut
or
the
Oh, you don't.
so you have 4 ribs like so. In a bowl, add some olive oil, lemon, pepper.
I'm
garlic
impressed
powder,
that they can
chili
get these
powder,
recipes
black
in
pepper,
1
smoked
minute.
Paprika, and a pinch
I know,
of
it's
salt.
amazing.
Mix, then brush it onto your corn ribs. You can also fry or bake these, but I air fried them at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes and flipped once halfway through. For a chipotle lime mayo,
it
we
looks like
combined all these
nicely
ingredients
seasoned
this
corn
way,
on the
and just
cob,
look how
but
freaking
Yeah.
cute
That's
they
a
are.
lot of
I
extra
add my
effort.
sauce.
It's like
Just
Mexican
cut it
street
down.
corn,
Lightly
almost.
loaded with
Yeah,
some
ooh, I love that.
and cilantro.
yeah, that's
Enjoy.
good. Yeah.
Corn ribs, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the good news is I bring that up to say TikTok has been saved. Saved. Hallelujah. From the Wall Street Journal, TikTok sale to Oracle Walmart is shelved as Biden reviews security. Trump-driven deal had languished as video sharing app's Chinese owner mounted successful legal challenges. We've been following this thing since last fall. President Trump,
So
of
do
course,
Oracle
hated
Walmart get
TikTok.
Any parting gifts?
Oracle may. So what's actually happening now is a much more reasoned, but still, I think, important process where the government takes a look at the risks posed by Chinese tech companies' collection of data. And then, according to National Security Council spokesperson Emily Horn, we plan to develop a comprehensive approach to securing U.S. data that addresses the full range of threats we face. This includes the risk posed by Chinese apps and other software that operate in the U.S. In the coming months, we expect to review specific cases in light of a comprehensive understanding of the risks we face. So figure out what the risks are, which is a good question, and then figure out ways to solve it, like, and this is something TikTok's proposed, having a trusted third party hold the data to make sure that the Chinese government can't get access to it. So I think this is a good way to solve it, not to ignore entirely the potential threat of TikTok and other Chinese companies, but to come up with a solution that keeps everybody safe and everybody happy, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of great stuff on TikTok. And also there was the issue that Chinese government said you can't sell the algorithm. So what were Oracle and Walmart going to get anyway? So this just is something we saw coming for a while, but it's good news.
What a hoo-ha. What a ridiculous hoo-ha it was.
Next week, another executive order signed by the former president is set to go into effect that would ban U.S. transactions with 8 China-related apps, including Alipay, the WeChat mobile payment app owned by Tencent. Unknown whether the Biden administration will enforce the order or extend the deadline or simply rescind the order outright, but I suspect this is part of the overall investigation of what are the threats and how to best deal with them. So a little more thoughtful approach. And sorry, that means that $5 billion fund for education that was going to be extracted. The president, I didn't see this part. He apparently, according to the Journal, he likened it to key money, which is the extra fee that tenants sometimes pay landlords for securing a hard-to-get property. In New York City, you pay a little key money to get into that apartment.
Back-to-back
It's called a graft. Yeah, it's called a bribe.
Yeah.
It was a $5 billion bribe,
Kickback.
and I think it was for the 1776 project, which, by the way, when it finally came out, was kind of maybe you don't really want to teach kids slavery
Racist
was
and
okay.
awful. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say Walmart's not going to be part of that. Neither is Oracle.
They don't need to be now, in their view.
I got to remember that key fee next time
You want to do this podcast? Give us a little money.
charge you a little key fee to be on the show. No big deal.
Well, that's actually so journalists do. So some news organizations do that. You can see it in conferences with pay to play. I mean,
Really? That's shameful.
Oh, yeah.
do you?
It is.
That is a thing that happens.
Look at this TikTok debut of Pink's daughter. She's 9 years old.
So cute.
She's going to sing a song on TikTok.
Cover me in sunshine, shower me with good times.
Oh, she's got a good voice.
The world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything'll be alright. Just cover me in sunshine.
Nice to have a famous mom.
Okay.
That's
like,
cute.
They wouldn't put her on. They wouldn't put her on if she didn't have a good voice.
No, she sounds good. Willow.
Sounds very good.
Yep. That's actually, believe it or not, Pink's first TikTok post. Smart. It's smart. If you're gonna join TikTok as an older person, get your kids to do something.
Older person as in like 30? Seriously?
Oh, I don't think Pink's. I think she's a little older than that. She's not as old as you, but she is 41.
Jeez.
TikTok and Universal Music have unveiled their expanded global alliance.
I didn't know they had one in the first place.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the
how they get the music.
Yeah, it's one of the brilliant things TikTok did.
That's the thing, right? Yeah.
And it's why people love it.
Do you have any idea?
Say again?
How much do they pay them? Do we have any idea?
It does not say in here.
I mean, it's fascinating if you go back to the early days of the copyright fights and Fosta Sesta and all, not Fosta Sesta, but what was the fight over copyright?
Napster?
No, Fosta Sesta. There was legislation. Fosta Sesta is the
that's the sex workers.
Oh, Sopa Pippa.
Sopa Pippa.
Sopa Pippa.
Sopa Pippa Fosta Sesta.
You know, you consider that watch out, cover your ears, Ant. When Ratatouille, the TikTok musical, came out, Disney 10 years ago would have put 1,000 lawyers on sending cease and desist letters, and now they say, "Oh, cool, good." And here, Warner Music says,
smart.
"Oh, cool, good. We find new fans." Yeah, they finally smarted it up.
And by the way, TikTok does pay money to recording artists and songwriters. I mean, they are paying royalties.
Yeah.
So it's not, we're not giving you this music for free, but I'm sure it's a much reduced amount of money.
I'm surprised we don't see more songwriters and singers come on to start a duet thing.
Yeah, that would be great.
Like the sea shanties?
Like Mr. Sea Shanty, who now has a recording contract. Yeah.
But by the way, the sea shanty guy, the bass who's on his things is phenomenal.
Yeah. Should we take that as an excuse to play some sea shanties?
No. Let's talk about Google.
I just do that to tease you. I just do that.
No sea shanties.
To get a rise out of you. All right, let's take a little break and then we'll do how about we do the Google changelog? What about that, huh? But first, a word from our sponsor, ITProTV. It is a great time to get in the tech industry. The COVID crisis has done nothing but improve your prospects in IT. The workforce is growing, demand is growing, and there are millions, literally, I'm not even exaggerating, millions of job openings right now in all parts of IT. An IT career, and I'll tell you this, can be rewarding. You can have longevity. It's something you can use your whole working life. And at ITProTV, you don't just get IT skills, you get the skills that are in demand. You also get the coaching to help you choose the IT field you're interested in. They tell you where the jobs are. And most importantly, they tell you which certifications you need to get that first job. But one of the best things about ITProTV, the thing you'll appreciate the most, is their teaching style. They're great. 7 studios live Monday through Friday because, well, everything changes in IT rapidly, so they have to constantly update their courses. The questions change in the exam. There's new versions of software. There's so much to learn, but ITProTV can teach it all to you with their great experts. They're real IT pros. They work in the field, but they're also entertainers who keep it light, who keep it fun. And you know what? That's the key to learning, is that it's enjoyable. One reviewer said, "This site has helped me with 2 certifications and also as the supplemental material for my grad school classes. Give it a try. You won't be disappointed." I couldn't agree more. Get the certs you need to get the job you want, all from the safety and comfort of your own home. Learn at your own pace and schedule. There are 5,800 hours and always more coming of on-demand IT training. You can stream it to your big screen TV. They have Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV apps. You can watch it on your computer, on your phone. This month is Project Management Month at ITProTV. There's a webinar tomorrow, actually. It'll be on demand thereafter, but you can watch it live tomorrow, called Navigating the Future of Project Management. You know, maybe you're already in IT, but you'd like to step up and become a project manager. You can learn PMP, ITIL, service management, and Agile. Get training in Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, Linux, and more. They're the only official video training partner for CompTIA. That's where you get those A+ certs. Did you get an A+, Ant, when you first started in IT? You probably could get one easily.
I thought about it because it is a popular cert to get.
It helps. Security Plus, Network Plus. You were able to get the job without doing it. But I tell you what, a lot of times if you don't have experience, they look at you and go, hey, you seem like a nice guy, but I need to know you know the stuff. And that's where the certs are really helpful. You can also get an ITProTV learning coach, along with all the other job resources they offer to help guide you on your career path. Lots of support there. Lots of support there. There's good free stuff, too, by the way, including Don Pezet's TechNado podcast featuring industry guests and IT news recaps, a deeper dive into the IT realm. I'm telling you, if you've thought about getting into IT or you're already in IT and you just want to get a better job or learn more skills, there's no better IT education than ITProTV. I could tell you with absolute certainty. ITPro.tv/twit. There's Don himself right there on the screen. ITPro.tv/twit. The offer code is TWIT30 to receive 30% off all consumer subscriptions. As long as you stay active, it's 30% off. Could be forever. That's a great deal. ITPro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30 for 30% off the lifetime of your active subscription. ITProTV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. ITPro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30. Can I show you one thing that's not Google, and then we'll do the changelog? I just thought this was fascinating. This is from a blog called LessWrong, LessWrong.com. John Wentworth. He's making his own COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay.
He says, first of all, I have a little wet lab experience from my undergraduate days, but the skills needed are pretty minimal. All the materials and equipment to make the vaccine cost about $1,000. You do not need any special license or anything like that. You don't need FDA approval, as long as you're not giving it to anybody but yourself and your family. The largest majority of the cost, $850, was the peptides. These, you can buy these. I had no idea. You can buy them online. They're the main active ingredients of the vaccine, short segments of protein from the COVID virus. They're all fewer than 25 amino acids. So they can't function as proteins. They're not dangerous. For instance, as an example, COVID's spike protein has 1,273 amino acids, so less than 25. The whole point of it is it's not dangerous. It can't do anything to you, but your immune system looks at it and goes, whoo, that sequence, don't let that in. That's what gives you the immunity. The peptides are custom synthesized. I had no idea. There are companies which will do this. Any short peptide sequence you want. There are dozens of them online. You can use the cheapest ones. You don't need to purify them. They don't need any special modifications. You don't need much. The minimum order size from the company we used would have been sufficient for 250 doses. We bought twice as much because it only costs $50 extra to get double the peptides, and extras are nice in the case of mistakes.
But he doesn't need to give this stuff to anybody else.
It's just him and his wife. You need a stir plate, beakers, microcentrifuge tubes, 10 and 50 milliliter vials, a pipette in the 0.1 to 1 milliliter range, and pipette tips, all available on Amazon. Here's the other materials. They're sold as supplements. Ketosan and sodium tripolyphosphate. They're also maybe a little vinegar and deionized water. You can get everything on Amazon. Simple to do. You just, I know, this is hysterical. You prepare the solutions of each component, dissolve it separately, stick in the freezer till it's needed. Circularize 2 of the peptides, which means really just adding a few grains of activated charcoal to the tube and shaking it for 3 hours. So maybe you need a little shaking machine. Then back in the freezer when it's time for a batch. Take everything out of the freezer, mix it together. Pipette in
Soon to be a TikTok recipe.
This is hysterical. Finally, and this is the thing, it goes up your nose. It's not an injection. It makes it both less dangerous, but also a little harder to prove that it's working because all of the current tests are blood tests, and for the antibodies, because he and his wife are going to get antibody tests to see if it did anything. Right. And he's he says on the one hand, putting it in your nose is probably a good idea because that's where you want the immunity because that's how the virus gets in. On the other hand, unfortunately, all the antibody tests are blood tests, so it may not be that you get an immune response or a strong immune response in the blood if you put it up your nose. Anyway, it's a great article. He's going to stay tuned. He's going to let us know how the tests work. Wow.
Hey, good on you for trying.
He says you can't hurt yourself because of the way it is. It's just not, worst case, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope that's the worst case.
He says it's a fun project in its own right, and it gets dramatically cheaper with more people. Remember, $1,000 bought enough supplies for 500 doses. The largest benefits.
You've been wasting your time trying to make sourdough.
I'm going to do. Yeah, I might do this.
No. I mean, if you do it, just also make sure you get the vaccine later.
What if I vaccinated, or you see, it's not a vaccine. It's what if I did this for the whole company, John? Would you all do it?
That would be no.
I think this would be a great story. Podcast company vaccinates its entire staff using homemade vaccine. I'm in.
That's and the bald black guy just watches.
That's what's so cool.
John is the loyal employee.
That's just what's so cool about mRNA vaccines as opposed. See, if this were, a traditional vaccine, I wouldn't do it because it's a little more dangerous. But an mRNA vaccine is harmless. Now he unfortunately doesn't publish the recipe. What peptides to get? I might have to send him a note.
So Dr. Mom gave me advice. I said before the show that I think I got a delayed reaction to the shot, like 2 weeks delayed.
Yeah, did she say with that's possible?
Oh, wow.
She said, go get a test. No, she said, you can still get it after the first shot, get a test.
Yeah, you got to get two.
Yes.
You got to get two.
Yeah.
I love this guy, Huge Ma. That can't be how he pronounces his name. Huge Ma. He works at Airbnb as a software engineer. He was trying to sign up his mom for a vaccine in New York City. It was so complicated, he decided to develop a site. He did it in 2 weeks, cost him $50, called Turbovaxx, that went out and went to all the different sites, because apparently there are many, many different sites, to try to find an appointment in the city and state official systems. Do it yourself. It's what all the kids are doing now. You got the tech skills, make your own vaccine. Make your own website.
Yeah.
We talked about it yesterday on Security Now, the hacker that tried to poison Florida's city water supply.
Oh, I had a guest on my show talk about that too.
Yeah, not a good.
You said that a little too lately,
whoa.
Stacey. Oh, we talked about
okay.
No harm, no foul.
There were a lot of really good things in that story, actually.
I don't doubt.
So,
yes.
Well, what's the moral of the story, would you say, since you've interviewed them? What is the moral of the story, Stacey?
Okay. The moral would be configure your remote access software correctly. Have
Don't
backup redundant systems. Don't combine your IT and your OT together.
Don't put your freaking water systems on the public internet.
Nope.
Would be a start. That's the lesson I take. Steve Gibson said, it's very simple. You don't give people access to it. If they need access to it remotely for some reason, you have to call the operator and say, give me access to it.
The reason a lot of companies have done this, though, is because of the pandemic.
Right.
And so and that's unclear if they did that here, but what they did is a lot of companies, this is not isolated to this one water treatment plant. A lot of companies sent their employees home in the manufacturing and in the world of things that require OT.
Yeah, but you don't put TeamViewer on the machine that controls the water supply, and then
so it's not. So no. So that's so the guy who has to deal with that and monitor those systems can do it remotely from home.
Yes.
And
you see, though, that's probably not a good idea.
So if you do something like that, you have to configure it differently. And what happened is people were in a rush and you're like, but it's okay because they had backup systems in place.
And there was a guy sitting there watching the mouse move around.
Watching him do it.
And he said,
and to their credit, it doesn't take effect for at least a month or so.
Yeah, it was in a holding tank.
Change.
It was
that's good.
Upping the amount of lye in the water by 100 times, which would make.
Yeah. What are your odds on who this hacker is? Because it feels like this is like. It feels both incredibly obvious, like more like a could I really do it? You know,
yeah, it was 1 in the afternoon.
As surprised as anyone else.
If you were a real bad guy, you might wait till 3 in the morning to do it.
No, it's probably that kid Levi in Sanford, Florida.
Who's that?
I don't know, just some kid named Levi.
Oh, okay.
Some kid named Levi.
Like
who's a hacker.
Sound like you knew exactly.
He wasn't an adult. This is some kid.
Yeah, but he knew enough to know where to go to change the levels.
Well, he was there before, so he was looking around.
Second time visiting, yeah. So again, I would
maybe he was like, why?
Yeah, maybe this is
water treatment plant.
This is just a wake up call for people who run these systems. Maybe you want to lock that stuff.
I feel like these people know this stuff. Like they know this is a danger.
I didn't catch if there are any legal ramifications for, like, were they able to trace back this person?
They haven't found who it is yet, or they haven't said that they found who it is. It is a felony.
Yeah.
So
should be.
I hope so.
I hope so
yeah,
too.
if you watch the press conference, they talked about it being, the charges that could go against him or her. They assumed it was a man. It might be a woman.
Did I mention this last week?
Generally, good odds it's a man.
Did I mention last week the governor of Nevada's plan to create innovation zones in Nevada to jumpstart the...
No, you mentioned it on Twitter.
Yeah, you were there. To jumpstart the state's economy by attracting technology firms? Seems like a good idea.
Oh.
Remember when Larry Page said we should have a Google Island where there's no regulations and we could do what we want to?
Yeah, this is stupid.
Now he could do it in Nevada. The
16
zones...
tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt.
Instead of giving tax breaks...
Though, California has not really been kind to a lot of these businesses.
They're looking for a place to go. And listen to what you get. Listen to what you get, Ant. This is great. You don't get a tax benefit, but if you buy a large amount of land, like, for instance, Elon Musk has done...
I think Leo's thinking of moving to Nevada right now.
I'm going to buy a large amount of land. He did it for the Gigafactory, the battery factory. So here's what you get to do. You get to form your own government, carrying the same authority as counties, including, and I presume not limited to, the ability to impose taxes, form school districts, have your own courts, and your own government services.
That's a lot of power.
It's really Leoville.
Leoville, Nevada.
I feel like the court system would be fascinating to see how, because like you've got Google court in this, so obviously, how do you bring jurisdiction? Those are really interesting questions. And then when you appeal, do you appeal to your next higher court then goes back to like the state level, I assume.
Oh, interesting. Maybe, who knows? Maybe there is no appeal.
One of my favorite books, The Institutional Revolution, talks about how things worked before the modern days. And in England, the aristocracy, you owned the property, you owned you were the lord.
That's right.
That meant you had the courts.
That was feudalism.
Justice was private. If Leo robbed from Ant, it was up to Ant to go arrest Leo, and Ant to take him to the Lord and try to get the Lord to say, "Would you pay Ant back?"
Right.
Oh, he wouldn't make it to the Lord.
Leo was good buddies with the Lord. Ant was screwed.
Oh, shit. Oh, Lord.
He would wish for the Lord.
So already they got a taker, by the way. The governor proposed this in his State of the State address. Legislator has not taken it on, but already there's a company that says as soon as the legislation is passed, we want to develop a smart city in an area east of Reno. And I think I would trust a company named Blockchains LLC to run my smart city.
Nope. This is a libertarian island nightmare.
It's
this is what happened.
This is my nightmare of
what
cyber
was it?
bros
Gulch.
doing the mayors.
What was Ayn Rand's something Gulch?
Oh yeah.
Oh right. Surely our chat room knows.
So it's not. Look,
Rand
it's
fans
not.
out there?
You gotta have some resources. You have to own 78 square miles of undeveloped, uninhabited land.
Gulch.
Galt. John Galt.
Oh yeah, John Galt.
Who is
Stacey,
John
come on.
Galt? Yeah. Undeveloped, uninhabited. Galtville. Let's call it Galtville. John Galt Town. 78 square miles of undeveloped, uninhabited land within a single county, but separate from any city, town, or tax increment area. You have to have at least $250 million. Plan to invest at least $1 billion over 10 years. So it's it's going to be a big
Bitcoin.
The zones would have three-member supervisor boards with the same powers as county commissioners. But the business gets to appoint the board members. There's no elections. That would be silly.
So if you live there and it's a literal company town, do you sign? I mean, because I have rights guaranteed to me by the Constitution.
I would guess this is unconstitutional. I'm going to guess.
I mean, depending on how you implement this, it feels like. I mean, the legal ramifications of this are really fascinating. But
Absolutely.
I would not want to live in Google Town.
No.
Oh,
Even
no.
if they gave me,
I would live on Google Island. Leo said years ago he'd live on Google Island. I'd live on Google Island.
Not anymore. I don't I used to
No,
trust
dude,
Google
if you're
more.
old, I don't think you can live
That's
on
right.
Google
After
Island.
35, they push you out.
That was my great story when I was a guest at a meeting of a Google strategy group. I told the story years ago. And I had a senior moment. I forgot something. And I turned to the room and I just said, oh, don't get old. And one of them said, without missing a beat, we're working on that.
Yep. Speaking of which, all that spit you sent to 23andMe? Now Richard Branson owns
open
it.
source.
Richard Branson's got your spit. 23andMe is a SPAC, which means effectively
Spit SPAC.
The Spit SPAC. It's Virgin Group's going to be renamed 23andMe. New stock
They're
will
going
be
public via
ME.
SPAC. Yes.
Yeah, via SPAC, $3.5 billion company. And Wojcicki put in $25 million. Richard Branson put in $25 million. Public. ME is the stock ticker, and now.
So is there documentation of this? I mean, do we know what the cap table looks like? Do we know anything now that it's a public
You don't
company?
have to do you have to do a cap table
No,
with
I think
a SPAC
that's the
when
beauty
you're
of a
doing
SPAC. Yeah.
So you don't get it until, the first quarterly things.
You get it then, though.
I think so. Unless they're a
question.
SPAC with lots of companies, and then you don't. SPAC.
Oh,
let's see,
that's a point. Yeah,
10
it's just a
Ks.
holding company. Yep.
Yeah. VGAC is becoming 23andMe. So I don't know, what happens to the spit. I guess Richard Branson's got it. They've got my
Doesn't have
spit.
mine.
Oh, they got 2 vials of mine. I did it twice.
Oh, they got mine.
They don't have any of mine.
I'm okay with that.
I don't mind. What
I'm
are they
not.
going to do? What are they going to do with it?
I'm fine with them not.
You could
through
see
that that
later
I found
on,
out-
you could see discrimination based on your genetic predispositions, and also their assumptions about your health based on their genetic research is very incomplete. But we don't really know about that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
It
slippery
was through
slope,
that
just
I
like
found out that
facial
my name should be
recognition.
Riley.
Riley, you should be Irish. You're not a Jarvis, you're a Riley.
My grandfather was illegitimate. If the gentleman who wasn't a gentleman had made my great-grandmother an honest woman, as they used to say in those days, an obnoxious phrase, my name would be Riley.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Found
Riley.
that out because of 23andMe. combined
Really?
with...
They tell you that stuff? I don't think they tell you.
No. We attract back certain members of the family between that and ancestry. We figured it
you
out.
put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
One
oh my
image.
God. I am on a 16-page document from Deloitte on the auditing and tax implications and public accountability things.
This is what Stacey counts as
SPACs.
I'm
fun.
so glad that you're doing the research. Get back to us on that, will you?
Yeah, you had at it.
Meanwhile, this picture from the Wikimedia Commons has caused a little brouhaha at Wikimedia because it's been downloaded some huge number of times by servers in India. They couldn't quite figure out what was going on. It's so much so that 23% of their image requests from Wikimedia Commons were coming for this one image. 90 million requests a day from various internet service providers in India. There's a daily traffic pattern. They figure there must be some mobile app that's used in India that uses it maybe as a splash screen.
Was that image created by our very own Mr. Doc Searles? He has a lot of images.
It could be, wouldn't
out
that? You have to ask Doc. Is that your picture? It's a picture of an aster flower.
Isn't this this is an advance in the internet's culture, I would say, because the most downloaded thing we used to talk about was it Cindy Margolis?
Yeah,
was the most downloaded woman on the internet.
So now it's a flower, which is good.
Now it's a flower, which I think is a nice advance.
Progress
A little less
is
sexist,
what you're
you know.
saying.
So what's great is the community got together and they seem to have figured it out. It's coming from a popular mobile app in India. They're talking to the app developers. They're going to block the request until they figure it out. One app, 10 million requests a day. That's deep linking, baby.
Wow.
That's
So
deep
the
linking.
answer is yes, they will have to file 10Ks.
Bingo. What were we talking about?
Oh, hush, SPACs. Y'all are so mean to me. But these are
not
important
mean to
things
you.
know.
This is good.
We
You love
find out
this
the
stuff.
answers through Stacey.
You're so good. You went through a 100-page PDF in the time it took.
16 pages.
16
pages.
The time it took for me to talk about a flower. Let
I
us.
thought it was a purple coneflower. I didn't realize.
I'm just looking at the name in the title. It might not be an aster. I don't know what it is.
No,
It
I'm
says
sure it is.
Aster novi belgii flower. I don't know. Now I've requested it twice. They're going to cut me off.
Yeah.
We keep getting
flagged.
We keep getting this request for this flower picture. Let's do, shall we, John, the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
It's in the code. Google is going to use in a future version of, Google Fit, their health app, and this will require a Google Pixel camera. Starting next month, you'll be able to use the camera on your Pixel to measure your heart rate without a sensor. You can get respiratory and heart rate. You open the Fit app, not the Fitbit, the Fit app, which is a Google official app. You tap the cards on the homepage. They're guessing your rate of breath by looking at your movement of your chest. So you have to hold the camera so it can see your torso. Meanwhile, it uses tiny changes in color under your skin to calculate your heart rate. But
what does pink skin do to you?
I want to see this in action.
To do that, you'll have to place your finger on the rear camera. Actually, Samsung did this years ago with their camera.
Didn't work very well.
No, it didn't.
They insist they have tested it against many skin colors.
Yes, that's important. So it's pretty cool. They might be able to do this. I don't know. We'll see how accurate it is. If you have a Pixel, remember the Galaxy S5 had a sensor on the back below the camera.
I had an app for a while where if I put the camera and the light on my finger,
right,
it would
right. I remember
imitate
that.
a pulse oximeter.
Yeah,
it didn't work very well.
No. Google has added a new out to play memory collection to Google Photos. I
Aimed
actually
at
do.
parents.
I like the collections on Google Photos. Those are really fun. A reminder, of course, June 1st, you're going to lose your free storage on Google Photos. But until then, you can upload everything, and it'll stay free forever. So upload all your pictures right now. So this new thing, Out to Play, is one of the the memories. You get the highlights and stuff. It's a collection of moments of kids playing out in the sun. I presume kids a memory of better times when kids used to. Pretty soon, well, I mean this has nothing to do with COVID. Kids used to play in the street all the time. Can't do that anymore. Then they used to play in front of the house. Can't do that anymore. Now you have to play in playgrounds, but you can't do that anymore. But the memories live on in your Google Photos. So look for that, a new Out to Play memory collection. By the way, as you're using Google Photos, there is a new pinch to zoom for videos. You could pinch to zoom, I think, for stills, but now you could do that with videos, which is great.
It's frustrating because it's a reflex and you couldn't do it.
Yeah. I often want to get a zoom in on the videos, see some detail. If you had
like
Google
CSI level.
Yeah. Center, focus, zoom, enhance, and zoom.
Enhance.
What was that license plate?
If you were using Google Play Music, presumably by now, you've pressed the button that converted over to YouTube Music. I hope so, because later this month, they will delete your Play Music library. So look for a final warning email. Goodbye.
Got my email yesterday.
Now, you moved it over to YouTube Music, I presume, right?
No, sir.
Oh, you didn't? So they're just...
I don't even know why they even bothered with me, because I dumped it for Spotify a long time ago because it just got really, really bad on the user experience, and tried YouTube Music and gave it a whirl with the rest of the family, and they all cussed me out too, and it's like, no, we're just going to...
My kids refuse.
Spotify.
They're Spotify all the way, yeah. So it's not just the music, the Cloud Locker music. I uploaded 50,000 songs, and a huge number of songs. But it's also purchases, playlists, stations, albums, all of that stuff, likes, dislikes. So all of that will be gone if you don't move it over to YouTube Music. You can use Google Takeout and
There's
download.
a Takeout, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to get some big XML file. That's not, you have to write a parser just to understand what you got. So look for that email. Google is rolling out a firmware update. I saw Florence Ion on All About Android yesterday talking about how her Google TV device, the new one that she'd gotten, was on a boot screen, and apparently it got an update. But there's also updates, new cast firmware, 1.52 for your Nest Hub Max, your Nest Hub, your Nest Hub Max. There's a new Alarms UI. There's Sunrise. There's Zoom. So your Nest Hub and your Nest Hub Max are going to get a lot of new features with this new firmware. I am a Nest Hub fanatic. I have 3 of them. One in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, one in my office. And I really like it. So lots of new features. Zoom integration is fantastic. I could take those Zoom meetings on the Nest Hub. I've been using Google Meet and Duo on it. It's really great. So unfortunately, though, according to the Google support document, Zoom support is only available to a limited number of users, whatever that means. There's a new family tab, kid-friendly functionality on one screen like sticky notes, a school bell schedule, and interactive stories. The family bell. Do you use the family bell at home, Stacy?
No, my daughter, thank God, because she is on top of her schedule. I don't even know when she's supposed to be places, but she does.
You'll know you have it when you hear the new cast tone. This is the old tone. This is the new tone. Oh. So.
Well, what a difference.
What a difference.
Okay.
From that to that. And there's
a difference.
Not a minor to major.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little higher. Finally, Jeff, you should get your Google Pixel Buds back. There's a new firmware update.
Did they fix it? Did they fix it?
553. Let's see what they fixed. Stability during calls. Auto recovery after losing connection. That sort of fixes it.
Well, I don't think so.
Improved media playback stability for phones that have software audio encoding. and one earbud failing to connect after case removal.
Dude, they should just kill them.
All of that should have been out the box, right?
Yeah, out of the box. Yeah.
I loved the design, but boy, did it suck.
That's 2 in a row. That's 2 strikes for Google on those Pixel Buds, I got to tell you. And that is the Google changelog. You know what comes after the Google changelog? Our picks and tips.
It's like snacks.
And our numbers. And then after that comes snacks. No snacks till we get your pick of the week.
Okay.
In fact, let's start with
Unless it's a snack. If your pick of the week were a snack, that could be kind of beautiful. We could keep going another hour on the show then you'd be happy.
What is your favorite Super Bowl snack, Stacey Higginbotham?
Oh, I don't watch the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Guacamole. I like guacamole.
I like
without
guacamole. Peas? Who puts peas in guacamole?
The New York Times put peas in their guacamole.
What? That's not a guacamole ingredient.
That was controversy from like 3 years ago. I'm looking. My thing.
Yeah, it was.
What
That was
are you
the
doing?
tan suit
What is
of
she
the
doing?
guacamole.
She's looking for a thing.
I'm looking for my thing, and I.
Here's where Stacey looks for
the
her
thing.
thing.
She can't find the thing.
She's lost her thing.
You know, the thing.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Where's
We
the
need
thing?
to superimpose
This is kind of fun.
Thing 1 and
Here's
a thing
where
2 onto the
Stacey
screen.
looks for her thing. She's looking everywhere to find that thing. She's got her thing. It was up there all the time. What is it? It's a white thing. Oh, it's blinking.
It's a motion detector from Shelly. This is a Wi-Fi motion detector that went on sale starting today for $39.95. Mine is doing like the disco dance right now. So,
Does
you can just
so it detects motion, but then what happens?
Then it can alert you on an app, or it will alert you via voice.
And there is a Shelly cloud. In fact,
Madam A or Google, I believe.
I sense motion. Oh, a 1-year battery life. That's neat.
Well, here's what's neat about it. It's rechargeable. So right here is it is a one, well, I don't know if it's a 1-year battery life.
Type C, I like that.
Yeah, it's a mini USB. No, it's a mini USB. Micro USB.
Why is it micro USB? Why, Shelly? Why?
We all have a gajillion of them.
Yeah.
The one design flaw I've discovered is, see these 2 little dots? One of them is the reset button, but you have to use a
paperclip.
Pinned.
Yeah.
A paperclip to get in there to press it, which is kind of sucky because, you know.
So could I use if this then that or something else to do something when it senses motion?
Does Shelly work with IFT? It works with Madam A in Google.
Okay.
Shelly.
So what I'd like is when I come into the room that it would play my theme song. Could it do that?
Hail to the chief, eh?
Dun 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 dun.
I'm trying to. I don't know if they have it with IFT.
So this is the thing that comes with every burglar.
Oh, but you can use MQTT. So if you just want to get super nerdy.
What's MQTT?
What's that?
Oh, you can pull that into something like Node-RED, and then you can have it like a. So MQTT is a communications protocol for IoT devices, and so you could use that if you wanted to use something like Node-RED. If you've ever used that, it's a GUI.
So I could put something on a Raspberry
recipes.
Pi that would get a message from this thing that would then do
Basically,
something.
yes.
Yeah. Turn the temperature up when I come in the house, things like
But
that.
I'm trying. I feel like Shelly. I thought it supported IFT, but I can't find that.
It's nice, and it's how much?
It's $39.95, which is not bad for a Wi-Fi sensor.
No, and I have, of course, in my home, my Simply Safe system has motion detection, and it even has a light. I can tell that it sensed me coming down the hall. So I have actually 2 of them, 2 different hallways, but that doesn't connect to anything else. It's just the alarm system.
You can connect it to IFT.
Yay.
Oh.
And it will give you motion detected in the dark, motion detected in twilight, motion detected in bright.
It tells you
end
the
of
ambient
motion
lighting.
detected. It also has a tamper alarm, which is nice, and then end of tamper alarm.
This is good.
So I'm setting it up normally to sit by my dog door because I'm actually curious if I don't think my dog ever goes outside to pee. It's very upsetting to me.
Yeah, where does
So
it pee?
I'm going to track this.
Well, because the poor dog
Well, no,
knows
I
you're
just don't
watching
think
and
she
wants to
does.
do it when you're not.
No, I'm not watching
Jeez.
her pee. I'm just watching her leave the house. But
Yeah,
she
like,
doesn't
right.
leave the house very often.
Because she knows that she knows what she's doing. And it's no, she wants a little privacy. You think you would want to understand the need for privacy for a nice little dog. Jeez.
So this is interesting because this really looks like
Oh,
this.
there you are.
Hello,
Sorry,
doggy.
we're talking about my dog, and I was looking for her, and she popped up right behind me.
Aw. So this is. Do you think there'll be a whole lot of companies making just individual devices like this? I mean, this is kind of cool.
Shelly has a whole cloud, and they make a bunch of devices.
Is there a
He's a good
subscription
dog.
for this, or is it just buy it once?
No, you buy the cloud thing runs on your the Shelly Cloud runs on the cloud, and then it runs on your phone. It's actually a pretty big app, so there is local control there, and it's a company called Alterco Robotics, which you may have known because they used to build apps for carrier stores, and then they got into smart home a couple of years ago. They also make. I can show you. I have to put the dog back down. Hello, bye-bye.
Oh, don't.
Bye-bye,
Oh, no.
Fluffer.
Oh, this is cool. So you can have scheduling so that if you go in the kitchen late at night, it doesn't turn on the lights.
Yes, it is actually a very good home automation platform. So this is
Nice.
a
Cool.
Shelly 1 p.m. This is a module that you would install behind your, come to me, light switch. So these you would
So
put
you
this
have
behind your light switch.
You have to use their app, but is there a subscription fee involved? No.
No.
Okay.
Unless you want to connect it to IFT.
That's a nice looking
But
house.
and it doesn't need an app. I mean, a hub, I should say. The
does not
phone
need
is
a
the hub, basically.
The phone is the hub.
Yeah.
And then you have a cloud if you would like.
So if obviously I don't want my phone to be the only hub because then it would only work when I'm home. Or maybe that's one thing you would want. But if you wanted it to work when you weren't home, you'd have to tie it to the cloud. Is there a subscription fee for that?
No.
No. Oh, that's good. All right.
And you could build your own hub with a Pi if you
or
wanted
do
to.
a thing with the MQTT and the Raspberry Pi. Do a thing. My tip of the week is how to stop Reddit's annoying app download
You found
prompt.
it. Or did somebody in the chat
No, I
find
found
for
it.
you?
I found it. This is from the Next Web. Let's see how old this is. Well, it's a couple years old. First press the hamburger menu in the top right of your screen, then tap Ask to open an app so it says off. So this is on the website. This is actually a setting on Reddit that says don't ask to open an app. That's it.
Really?
That's so easy. Wow. Let me try it. Wow. Because that's one of the big annoyances. Oh, man, I shouldn't open my phone. Larry Flint has died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Nobody cares about that. But, all right, let me see. If I go to the Reddit, but I got to go to the Reddit website. Anyway, I won't do it right now. But look in these settings, and there is a ask to open an app, and you can turn that off. There you go, Stacy. You asked, and ye shall receive your number of the week, Jeff Jarvis.
Oh, right, I'm up. Well, TikTok released its trend report.
TikTok trend report.
TikTok trend. And so we find out that the number 6 top growth content category is livestock and poultry. I have no idea why.
The chicken dance,
And then they
of
have
course.
Perhaps. Then they have a country by country rundown of things. And there's something I'm going to beg you not to play because it really sends me crazy. But Korea, the top trending thing, is something where people eat as much as they can and as loudly as they can while interacting with the audience.
Oh, that's
called
disgusting.
mukbang.
Ugh.
Yeah, please don't.
Oh, no,
Yes.
mukbang we've talked about before.
We've talked about mukbang before.
Yeah, we even showed mukbang. So it used to be mukbang content on YouTube was just you gave people a lot of food and they ate it like voraciously
Loudly?
on camera, and it was a big thing.
It's the biggest thing in
so
TikTok
we-
in Korea.
Yeah. It was a big thing on YouTube for a while, too.
Oh, well, okay. So United States.
What's
And
the
we talked
appeal?
about it on this show.
Really? I don't remember that. What's the appeal of mukbang?
People eating delicious food.
Or grossing people out.
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Is it like the Nathan's hot dog eating competition? Is that considered the same thing?
Yeah,
yes, I think so. I think it's of the same.
Well, no, mukbang is where like you just make a lot of food and you.
So weird. The internet is so weird. I just don't understand.
Oh, it's not the internet.
In the U.S., home and garden and home renovation is up 156%. Trying to change the subject really quickly so nobody plays any of this crap.
Oh, because I was about to.
No, don't. Please don't. Oh, I got to turn off.
So it's eating a lot of food as fast as possible? Yeah, let's turn off the
I
sound.
think
That's disgusting.
I don't know if it has to be as fast as possible, but
well, that's a lot of
but
food.
This is riveting TV.
Well, you only get a minute, right? So she has to eat an entire meal in a minute.
that must be like a TikTok.
Yeah, that's
I guess that's
trope,
that's a
because
TikTok.
on YouTube you have many minutes, but oh, that's disgusting. Okay.
All right, so that was that. I've got another
I have more
which is the
mukbang
China.
for you. You can't say, whatever you do, don't show it, and you know that I'm going to show it.
Well, for this,
big in China?
For you doing this, I get a gift. I get you to play.
I
line 84.
gave you a gift. I had 12 Facebook stories, which I did not do.
No, that was a gift to me.
Luke the voice.
Thank you.
Luke
the voice.
The voice. On TikTok?
Line 84. Amazing. Yes, TikTok. It's still TikTok.
Okay.
This is the phenomenal. I'm so jealous of his voice.
Is this the... Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's still eating. Hold on, stop.
Would you?
Is this guy Luke Taylor, Luke the voice?
Yeah, he's the bass. We have all heard that tremendous deep bass voice.
Oh, wow.
Nice
We're gonna be
branding.
doing some cool stuff with this microphone that Toner Mike sent me. So
I could do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Funky Town.
All right.
So go down. I put one in there, which is...
This is just bad VO.
No, it's not. Wait. You're not playing the one I want you to play. I put it in there. This is the problem with the damn spreadsheet, is that it doesn't update.
By the way, there is nothing new in the world, because, as you may remember, this 14 years ago was a big hit, because here's a young guy.
Some stay dry and others feel the pain. Chocolate rain. A baby born will die before.
Where is he now?
Tazon Day. I keep seeing him every once in a while.
The school books say it can't be here again. Chocolate rain. The prisons make you wonder where it went. Chocolate.
Okay. And speaking of chocolate rain, apparently Stacy's got brownies.
Winning.
Oh. Did your daughter make those, or did your husband make those?
Yeah, she just
I'm sorry, I won't make you try to speak. All right, I'm going to find the link. I'm going to find the link. Where is it? What line is it?
I think I got the right in there. It's line 84.
I don't know how I missed line 84. Luke, the voice, the incredible TikTok bass.
It's not a sea shanty. I tried to prove it's not a sea shanty.
I don't mind. Well, this is the same thing.
See, that's what the spreadsheet does.
So which one of these?
Hold on.
Oh, here's the one where he's sea shantying. I don't.
And his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her boat.
The fact that he can do that on an iPhone microphone is what's amazing.
Yeah, that's why somebody gave him a new mic.
Where we will
I want that voice.
Outstanding.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Isn't that good? He's amazing. Luke the voice.
Here's another one.
So it's a new year, and it's time to recognize our favorite TikTok.
This one's weird.
Don't do that one? Okay.
He doesn't really sing.
So, cowboy hat?
I was trying to find the one that, is it the real thing? Is it the fantasy? He was singing that.
Oh, the Queen. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah, Queen.
Is this it?
Okay, so me and my friend Mateo were just sitting in this park.
Okay.
Me and my friend.
Me and my friend Mateo. We were sitting there. Okay. Here's a baseline. All right, anyway. I get the idea. Everybody should go follow whatever this guy's name is.
Damn you, Google Sheets.
So some stuff, in my opinion, is great on TikTok. Some less so.
You can say that about Twitter, too.
Ant?
Yeah, you can. Ant, what's your pick of the
ants?
week? Yes.
Yeah, we want to do ants.
My original pick was one about the I'm not a cat.
Well, you know what?
That's why I didn't steal it.
We should do it. We should do it.
Touch it.
I laughed so hard at that when I saw it.
Yeah, we should do it. It's greatest.
I played it for my wife this morning. We enjoyed it.
I hadn't laughed at anything like that in a long time.
So I'll play the video. Basically, and by the way, this guy, this county attorney in Presidio County, Texas, is a checkered past. He's kind of a loser. Rod Ponton.
I added that in.
Apparently, he was on a Zoom call with the court on what was, they say, a routine financial hearing in Texas's judicial court. But he had trouble with his Zoom. I'll let you watch.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
What's funny is watch Jerry Phillips the whole time.
Yeah, the attorney in the well, I don't understand. One guy seems like he's sleeping. Is he sleeping, Jerry Phillips? I don't know what's going on.
Jerry's trying his best not to prejudice.
But then the other guy puts on his glasses and says, "I can't believe what I'm seeing." He's trying to.
That's the judge.
That's the judge, Judge Bauer. He's saying, "What the hell?"
Oh man.
Plus, the filter is so great because the cat's eyes and this guy's voice just all comes together.
Oh boy!
I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
Oh God!
I was thinking we should do a show. We should do a show one week where all four of us just use filters the whole show.
Oh, I would not wear well.
Oh,
would not wear well.
So funny. Yeah. I
Stacey,
saw that
what
and
would
I'm
you
like,
be?
Man, I needed that laugh.
He was using his secretary's computer during the incident. He told the New York Times he was mortified.
But he sure looked like it.
Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there.
Oh man. My other pick is a shout out to Miss Erica Joy Baker. I met her many years ago over Google Plus, and then was able to meet her in person.
Oh, I knew. That's why I know the name. I remember her from Google Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, she used to work at Google.
That's right.
And she was part of all of that madness with the wages being all out of whack for people, and she's just been on an upward trajectory ever since, and I'm so happy for her. But she was recently on Jeopardy. Reading one of the categories.
I love it that the Jeopardy folks thought it would be good to have her read the engineering questions.
Yeah.
By the way,
so it's raising awareness for females in STEM.
Ken Jennings hosting Jeopardy.
Yeah.
After the
Engineering for 400. Here's Erica Joy Baker. Early street lights tended to hiss and flicker until the problem was solved by Hertha Marks Ayrton, a pioneer in this branch of engineering, abbreviated EE.
Electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering?
That's right.
Well, I think that's neat. Erica Joy Baker got to be on Jeopardy.
That's
if you're going to be on Jeopardy, that's the way you want to be. I would love to host Jeopardy. Would you like to host Jeopardy?
I feel it's time for a female host
I
of
agree.
Jeopardy who loves trivia.
Done.
You'd be great at it. And they could bring you brownies in between rounds.
Yes, Jeopardy recordings are very short, so I would not have to eat in the middle of them.
Unlike other things you've mentioned.
Unlike something else.
It's not that long. We're wrapping it up right now. Thank you, Stacy. Go enjoy your brownies. I love your gloves you're wearing.
Oh, it's so cold. I'm having some air conditioning HVAC issues.
She's Bartleby the Scrivener of our show. She will be back with Fiber next week. Not all brand. Not all brand. Fiber Internet. She'll be
Knock
back.
some wood.
Oh, I had the same thought, Ann. I'm sorry. Thank you, Stacy. Stacy on IoT is her website, stacyoniot.com. Her newsletter is there. Events are there. And, of course, her podcast with Kevin Toffel, the IoT podcast. Thank you, Stacy. Katie Couric apparently is going to be hosting Jeopardy next. So there will be a woman.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Jeff, of course, is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at City University of New York. And blogger at buzzmachine.com, the author of What Would Google Do? Gutenberg the Geek, Geek-Sparing News, and all of that stuff. Books. Remember those? Dead Trees. And a former TV Guide critic. Frank Sinatra once called him a bum. Ant Pruitt, the host of Hands on Photography, twit.tv/hop. Also, Man About Town. We appreciate everything you do for us. Anything you want to plug, Ant? You're very good at
plug the show as usual, and go check out my latest YouTube video because it alludes to next week's Hands on Tech, not today's Hands on Tech, but next week's Hands on Tech, where I got to play around with some Canon log footage.
So jealous. Ant Pruitt. It's at youtube.com/Ant Pruitt. That's a great open. I love that open, by the way. That's really awesome. So you got the cameras, and you're going to show us what you could do with S-Log.
Got to play around with that
C-Log,
footage and make it just pop.
Yeah. Because it doesn't pop otherwise. It's kind of bland otherwise.
That's right.
Thank you, Ant. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next Wednesday. We do this week in Google Wednesday afternoons, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. I only mention the live times because you can watch us live if you want. Our website, twit.tv/live, has live audio and video streams. You can look at the YouTube stream right now, but you can pick the stream you like. Oh, I understand I couldn't figure it out last week.
Nicely done, Jammer B.
Yeah, you got a picture-in-picture over the actual stream. Because otherwise it would be delayed, and then you'd see that mirror effect. And
nicely done.
Clever.
That dude is awesome.
Clever. You can also, of course, watch us on YouTube. We have a whole YouTube channel devoted to This Week in Google. You can download shows from our website. There's the chat room if you're watching live, by the way, irc.twit.tv. The website has all the shows from today and years gone by at twit.tv/twig. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast client. In fact, I encourage you to do so. That way you'll get it the minute it's available. That concludes this edition of This Week in... Uh-oh. I'm a picture-in-picture. That was good. Let's do that from now on. When I'm living in Barbados, you can do that, okay? Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
If you like Android with a heavy dose of fun and entertainment, then you're going to love All About Android. It's me, Jason Howell, along with my co-hosts Ron Richards and Florence Ion. Every Tuesday, we discuss the news items that matter most, the hardware and devices that are running Android, and the apps that run on top of them. Plus, we answer your email each and every week. That's All About Android on twit.tv.